Hello, true duelists. It's YGO Strat's Yu-Gi-Oh! Single Card History, where I'm going to be talking about some of the cards that have impacted Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the years, and some of the other ones that absolutely did not in any capacity whatsoever at all. Today's card, the rescue card best known for time theft, it's Rescue Ferret. Ferret was first released in Code of the Duelist in 2017 as a secret rare, with 2 reprints to date as of this video. First in the 2018 Megatins as a secret rare yet again, and again as a common in the Legendary Hero deck set of 2018. As of this video, it has spent no time on the ban list, but it has wasted approximately 600 years of human life in various Yu-Gi-Oh! Combo videos on YouTube. A level 4 Earth attribute beast type monster with 300 attack and 100 defense, its effect reads: you can shuffle this card you control into the deck, special summon monsters from your deck, except for Rescue Ferret, whose total levels equal 6 to your zone's a link monster's points to, but those summoned monsters have their effects negated, also destroy them during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Rescue Ferret once per turn. The history of rescue cards is relatively long and kinda interesting in Yu-Gi-Oh! I've got some videos on Rescue Cat as well as Rescue Rabbit already, going over their impact on the metagame during their peaks, and even their usefulness after their time in the limelight had passed. As the first 2 rescue monsters in the series, they set a high bar for their fellow rescue team members to follow. This was immediately met with disappointment when we got Rescue Hamster in the Pendulum era, a card that, while it did see sporadic use in some competitive decks throughout the years, is probably best remembered as like a Tekken Ignites from 2015 more than anything else, or at least it is to me, so I'm going to say that like it's a fact and we can all live with it. So when we got to Ferret here, it was met with a mixed bag. Rescue monsters thus far had either been broken or forgettable in their times. So where would the first rescue team member to have the drip land? Well, in terms of his teammates, Ferret lands somewhere between Bunny and Hamster on the scientifically accurate scale of rescue monster usefulness. Ferret definitely falls into the newer trend of rescue monsters, needing resources already in play to be able to use it. Where Hamster needed specific names and they face up extra deck, which kept it from being easy to use and being playable in more decks than would have been ideal, Ferret needs only link points to summon to, and unlike its coworkers before it, summons for specific levels as opposed to specific monster or card types. What's most unique to me is that unlike the other rescue critters, Ferret is able to simply swap itself out, as it is legal to summon one level 6 monster with its effect. I don't know if that's ever been done or would be useful at all, but as is often the glory of Yu-Gi-Oh!, it doesn't matter if you should, what matters is that you can. On the opposite end, if the opponent has given you 2 link arrows and you've got 3 more for yourself and each of your main monster zones is linked, Ferret could summon 5 monsters by itself for the low cost of 5 Garnets exclusively played in your deck for only the most niche of scenarios. Now that's what I call deck building. The point is, Ferret is unique for having the most possible utility of all the critters, being able to summon any number of monsters from the deck and only needing link arrows and a basic understanding of math to be able to pull it off. The lack of its companion's restrictions to card type or monster type also helps it tremendously. Any deck can technically play Ferret to get its plays off, and it can turn itself into any free rank 3 or lower monster, any synchro with a level of 6 or lower, or a link 1 to 3 depending on how many monsters you're able to get off of its effect, which all sounds wonderful on paper, being able to open up so many plays and cross so many decks. So why doesn't it see more play? Well, that'd be because it has the same core issue as Hamster that I've already mentioned. It needs setup, namely in the form of another link monster already on the field. So you have to put some number of bodies on your field, ideally at least 2, to make a link 2 and get yourself 2 arrows to summon to. Oh, and you want to do all that without using your normal summon, or otherwise having the means to get this card either out of your hand or back onto the field, since it can summon so many monsters from the deck, but not itself from your hand, which in general is a lot of work for an end board that probably won't look much different from the generic negate end boards that can be assembled with much more consistent strategies and less work in general. The adventure pile decks from a few formats ago would be a pretty good example of a MUT deck, or a few formats ago as of my making this video I should clarify, or just look at any other tier 1 deck in general. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Consistency is king. Take that fact and then add the additional reality that Ferret requires the combo to go off exactly right to be be good, it's just not that desirable. Or alternatively, if you're insane, I suppose you could try and build the ultimate deck that can just combo off Ferret on the fly, but that seems very difficult from a deck building standpoint of the best possible monsters of the best levels at any given moment depending on how you've been interrupted, and it's even tougher to make those plays optimally in the middle of a duel and just adapt and improvise the best possible scenario depending on board states. I say this all to point out the niche or however words are pronounced that this card has carved out for itself, which is with its significant other Skull Dread Saryuya. Saryuya is a card made for Rescue Ferret. Not only does it give you 3 link arrows to play with, but it even has the ability to summon Ferret from your hand for free, and you can even get those pesky garnets out of your hand and back into the deck if you've made it using enough differently named materials. Granted, this is anecdotal, but personally speaking, I don't think I've ever seen Ferret played in a deck that didn't make Saryuya exactly to get it out. And seeing Saryuya itself may as well be the mascot of FTK decks or time theft combos in general in the Link era, so Ferret probably doesn't lend itself a good reputation to be partnered with it. Yu-Gi-Oh's like high school. We just judge cards by who they're associated with, you know? And Saryuya and Ferret always seem to combo off into some of the most absurd endgame or board state that's really neat to watch on those YouTube compilations to show what's possible, but not so much enjoyable to witness what's going on across from you on the table when you're just trying to have a fun night at locals. Now, in terms of competitive history, Ferret actually has the fewest tops of any rescue monster, with only 4 to its name from what I can find. All of them were in 2018, with 3 in World Chalice decks and 1 in the most 2018 deck conceivable, Goki FTK. In World Chalice, it made enough sense. The deck would already play the Agent of Creation Venus to get Shine Balls to make plays, and Ferret could get you to your balls if you couldn't reach your Venus. Just gonna let that one hang. That, coupled with the fact that the World Chalice monsters have levels 1 to 4, meant it wasn't a struggle to be able to make 6, even if it was for only 2 link points. In the Goki FTK, from what I can tell from this deck list, I assume it was used to get access to Samsara Lotus to perform the FTK using Lotus, Topological Bomber Dragon, and Trickstar Black Cat Bat. 2018 was a hell of a year, man. And I say most likely since I'm not 100% sure, and it was played as a one-of in each build that's been listed from what I can find. And that's really because when it's not being played in a convoluted Saryuya line type of deck, Ferret is a card that can't reliably get you to your end board by itself on turn 1 when it's in your opening hand. On turn 3 or turn 5 of the duel, when you might still have a board and decent link arrows to play with, Ferret could be a phenomenal normal summon, but you won't find many people playing a card at 3 if it's something you don't want to see in the opening hand, or at the very least that's my take on it. Overall, Rescue Ferret is an interesting rescue critter. From the unique shuffle into the deck to use its effect, I assume to prevent reuse turn after turn, or to the fact that it's the best dressed of all the lads. It's a card that could absolutely become broken in the right deck or format. Could you imagine if, say, the Tenyi monsters were all level 1 to 3 and you opened 2 Tenyis and a Ferret or something absurd like that? If we ever get something to that effect, it could definitely be broken. The Link era may be close to wrapping up as I'm making this video in terms of core sets, but there's still time for Ferret Link to become a deck in the future. It's a card that might just have a lot of untapped potential in its future, and one that's wasted a lot of people's times trying to prove itself thus far in the meantime. And so that's our look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Single card history, Rescue Ferret. Stay tuned for our next video, and feel free to suggest some cards to review or what type of video you'd like to see. Don't forget to like, and as always, subscribe to YGO Strats, so you too can become a true duelist.